I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, March the 2nd, brought to you in part by the International Brangus Breeders Association. This country is Brangus country. For more information or to find a production sale near you, visit gobrangus.com. As goes the country, so goes cattle, and it just seems like that. We talked earlier in the week, or last week, about how your stock market and the cattle are kind of hooked together, and they seem like they trend in the same direction. Not that other markets don't, but it just seems like it's more closely tied with the cattle. And our stock market closed around 25,000 for the end of the week, and that was 4,500 points less than the most recent high. So some big losses there. Also, I was talking to a friend of mine, Brett Crosby, with beefbasis.com, and he does a lot of analysis and looks at things, and he was showing me that there's a very high correlation between GDP and cattle prices. And so, you know, we see as the country's doing well, cattle prices typically do well, and it just everything's tied with cattle and country. And I think we see that a lot of our cattle producers are very patriotic, and we pay for that in a way because a lot of these foreign countries that we deal with that we don't necessarily like, and they definitely don't like us, whenever we are trading with them and they get their feelings hurt or get a red ass about something, they decide to start pulling back on their trade or what they buy from us. And cattle or beef are usually one of the very first ones. And it's because, you know, they grew up with Western movies, and John Wayne may have been dead for 40 years, but they correlate America with cowboys. And I think that's great. And as we start to see the dying off of the cowboys and all this vertical integration taking away our Western heritage, I would hope that we would kind of open our eyes up and try to do something about that. But they want to hit us right where it hurts. A lot of times they'll cut off the beef purchases first because they think that everybody's a cowboy in the United States, and we know that's not true. Of course, there's a lot of cowboys around. The bars are full of them, but there's just not that many people that know anything about cows. But you look at last week's market, your February live cattle futures, Monday was down $2.72, all because of the coronavirus, guys. I know there's some things that come in about the Brazilian beef and all that. That was totally forgotten and overshadowed with Monday opening up down the limit on a lot of things, but Monday's February contract down $2.72. Tuesday was down $1.97. Wednesday down 95 cents. Thursday down $1.45. Friday up 7 cents. The February live cattle futures ended the week at 112.07, down $7.65 for the week. Your April, which was one of them I mentioned that was down the limit on Monday, April 107.57 at the end of the week, down $10.68. I tell you what, this coronavirus deal has been a complete wreck for the cattle market, and a lot of your other ag commodities were down too, but didn't seem as bad. They were down hard early in the week and then traded kind of mixed the rest of the week, but cattle took the brunt of it, and amazingly your beef didn't. Hey, you would wonder, why in the world would cattle be down so hard? Are they afraid that this coronavirus is going to limit travel and people aren't going to be out buying cattle? No, beef. But your choice box beef cutout values were actually up a little bit for the week. That's ridiculous. And your cattle people always suffer the brunt. It doesn't matter if it's a mad cow deal or a plant fire or a disease or what's going on anywhere, unrest in the world. Your cattle always take the brunt of it, and your cattle producers have to stomach the losses. March feeder cattle, Monday was down $4.17, Tuesday down $3.05, Wednesday back up $1.10, Thursday down $1.50, and Friday down $1.30, with March feeder cattle ending the week at $131.27, down $8.93 for the week. I mean, these are huge losses. We never see this. This is worse than the Holcomb plant fire. It was the next closest thing would have been the BSE outbreak in 2003, but this has been a colossal loss for the cattle industry. April feeder cattle, 132.70, down $9.40. Your fat cattle trade through Thursday, 70,200 head on a sharply lower market, and such an unorthodox trade. Through Tuesday, we had already traded 42,100 head in your 5-area feeding region, negotiated. And I talked to some guys, one of my good friends there, he's all about, digging his heels in, holding out, asking $7 more on an up market instead of 2 or 3, trying to do things right, trying to push the industry in the right direction, trying to find some other people that'll go with him. And he admitted, he says, hey, I sold cattle on Tuesday morning. He said, and it was $5 lower. He said, I was scared. I got a family to feed, and I've got to do what I've got to do. These packers got them by the short hairs, and they're not going to give up. And if you don't sell on a down market when there's a lot of unrest in the news and the markets and things, you might get left out in the cold. And there might be another $5 or $10 lower the next week. So I said, I hated to do it, but I had to do it. And that's just the way people feel. A lot of them had hedges that were going to make quite a bit of money and kind of let the guys come out with their Wranglers intact. But I tell you what, it was a sharply lower market. Started out, we had Monday trade $5 lower, but your live sales of steers and heifers through the week last week, 112 to 115, mostly 115, a little bit of 113.14 late, but that 115 for the most part was $5 lower. Your weighted average on through Thursday was 115.07, so there was a little bit of a higher trade, that though it wasn't really reported much. But let's talk about your dress sales. Steers and heifers 180 to 186, mostly 185 to 186, a little bit of 187 there early in the week, some 183 late, but 3 to mostly $5 lower. And your weighted average on dress steers was 185.45 through Thursday there. Box beef cutout values. That's what I mentioned a while ago. It's so ridiculous. I don't understand why it all has to go back to cattle. Why it has to go back to a 400-pound steer or heifer calf when we've got unrest in our economy and in trade and travel, things like that, all due to this virus. Choice box beef cutout values were up 63 cents for the week. How in the world do they get around that? Your packers basically set the price on your box beef cutout values, and then your purchasers, they just, however much volume they want to buy of that at those set prices, that's your market. But they've got them on the other end. I tell you what, these packers have got everybody outsmarted. They've got everything their way, and that's why we have got to set a minimum requirement of negotiated cash trade each week by your big packers. If we don't do it, we're going to lose. We're going to lose everything. Everybody's going to be contracted up just like a bunch of hog producers. And then what do you think is going to happen to our feeder cattle demand once we've taken all your independents out? And I'm telling you guys this, you guys that can do something about it, that hold a position in one of our cattlemen's groups, different things like that, you got to do something about it. And I think that's our best way. I'd be open to support other ways, but I think that's the best way. Your select box beef cutout values, I ended the week 199.89. That was down $3.10, and that's on a weighted average of the whole week's trades. Your choice select spread, $6.45. It looks like it's going to kind of stay there, and that's kind of normal. We were running just $1 or $2, and that's not normal. And then the $22 or whatever we were running there several months ago, that's not normal either. But $5 to $10 is normal. 689 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. That's not a bad movement, especially on an unrest week there. Your slaughter for the week last week, 627,000. That was down just 1,000 from the previous week, but up 18,000 from the same week a year ago. Your feeder cattle market, your real-time index with DV auction, ended the week at 134 even. That was down $7.66 for the week. Wow. You talk about sharply lower. You talk about a wreck. That is a 7-day moving average of all the reported markets up through the middle 12 states. You see the last available CME cash feeder cattle index was 135.60, But once it catches up, it's going to be right in there too, because your RTI is always a precursor, but there's a lot of volume in there in a 7-day moving average to be down $7.66. That's cash value, guys. That's how much you've lost. That's your equity in your investment. Cash feeders in the sale barns, right in turn with that, $6 to $10 lower. Most on feeder heifer calves, and that's typical. Your most unwanted class of cattle always takes the biggest brunt of it, because guys can come over and buy some steers, some green steers, a lot cheaper than they were buying them last week, so that's what they end up doing. But even some of the stocker calves sharply lower, and I mean 12 to $15 lower. And I hope some of you guys used your head and went in there and sopped some of those up. Down markets that take care of themselves. People come in and buy. I mean, I know you guys are going to need cattle to turn out on graze out wheat. You're going to need grass calves. Get in there and buy some of these on a down market. Take advantage, because when this deal all blows over and people get back to business, these calves are going to get right back where they were. And we even had some sales that sold stocker type calves like nothing ever happened. But look at some of your big quotes through the week. Winter livestock auction in Winter, South Dakota. Look at these 4 loads. This is the market in the Northern Plains, guys. 4 loads, 860-pound steers, $136.75. That's a pretty good quote. It's well above your index levels for a weight that's getting towards 900 pounds. Pretty good market. St. Onge, South Dakota, St. Onge Livestock. My good friend Justin Tupper there got a good sale on Fridays. 76 head, 658-pound steers, $165.50. Now that's impressive. But talking to my good friend Lee Richmond, he was at Erickson, Nebraska, and watching the sale there. We're working on trying to get Erickson, Nebraska in on Cattle Market Central and start drawing their market. I'd like to talk about them a whole lot more than I do, especially on a Saturday sale, but man, do they have impressive quotes. 607-pound steers at $176.50, and then 99 head of thin, light 5-weight steers averaging 512 pounds at $202. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.